Imagine finding something of yours, an object you lost a long time ago, in circumstances so unexpected that your heart almost stops beating. A simple wallet found on the street can reveal forgotten truths and rekindle pains that have never subsided. What would you do if your entire past fell upon you in a single instant? Before we find out what will happen, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future exciting stories. But first, let's take a step back in time to better understand this story. Many years ago, Alberto was a man with a life full of hopes and dreams. It all began when he met Alida. She, with her sparkling eyes and bright smile, entered his life like a ray of sunshine on a grey day. They met at a party, and from that first glance, their destiny was sealed. The love between them had been immediate, deep, a bond that seemed indissoluble. Their story had unfolded like a perfect tale, a wedding in a small but welcoming church, emotional friends and family, and a dream home where they would begin their life together. That house was more than just a place. It was a symbol of everything they hoped to build together. Every stone spoke of their plans, their dreams. Alberto and Alida imagined a future full of joy and love as they slowly transformed that home into a warm and welcoming refuge. Then, when little Nevio was born, their happiness reached unimaginable heights. Nevio was a child who radiated pure love, with curious eyes and a sweet smile that seemed to be able to chase away every shadow for his family. Alida decided to dedicate every moment to her growth, leaving her job to always be by her side. Alberto, for his part, worked hard to maintain this perfect harmony, driven by the love he felt for his family. But life, as often happens, changed direction abruptly. The company Alberto worked for began to falter, the market collapsed, and one day came the news that no one wanted to hear: dismissal. From one moment to the next, the security they had built with so much care and sacrifice began to crumble. Alberto tried to remain calm, reassuring Alida that everything would be fine, that she would find a new job soon. But time passed. Job offers did not arrive, and their resources slowly ran out, like sand slipping through your fingers. The house, that safe and warm refuge, became a suffocating prison, where every corner reminded them of a dream that was fading. The bills piled up like a boulder on their chests. The new apartment they were forced to move into was small, cold, distant from the warmth they had known. The walls that were supposed to protect their privacy seemed to close in on them more and more. Every day, when Alberto returned from the low-paying job he had managed to find, he felt emptier, more distant from himself and the family he loved. The tension grew like a storm approaching inexorably. The arguments with Alida became more and more frequent, like cracks opening up in a once solid wall. Their gazes, once full of love and complicity, were now filled with tiredness and frustration. Alberto began to seek refuge outside the house, in those dark bars where alcohol seemed the only way to forget. Every sip was a step towards oblivion, a way to escape the pain that tormented him. Those moments of intoxication became the only respite in an existence that had become unbearable. But Alida suffered seeing the man she loved lose himself like this. Every time Nevio asked, "Where's Dad?" she felt a blade sticking into her chest, a wound that never healed. The child, with his big questioning eyes, felt the weight of an absence that he couldn't understand. One night, when Alberto didn't return, Alida received a phone call. "Your husband is here. He's had too much to drink. You have to come get him." She left Nevio with a neighbor, her heart full of anger and despair. As she drove through the night, Her mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions: fear, anger, hope that everything could still be resolved. And that's when it happened. Stopped at a traffic light, two figures emerged from the shadows, like restless ghosts. They approached the car. Alida's eyes met those of a man holding something that glittered in the streetlights. Her heart leapt into her throat. "Get out of the car now!" one of them shouted, his voice full of menace. In that instant, panic took over. Alida pressed the accelerator, a desperate and instinctive gesture. And then, the impact. A deafening sound of metal against metal. The last breath. The night that swallowed everything in an endless abyss. If you like this story and want to know how it ends, leave a like and remember to subscribe to the channel. When Alberto learned of Alida's death, his world fell apart. His light had been extinguished, and it was all his fault. He repeated those words to himself every night, every day, in unceasing pain. How could he continue to live, knowing that he had been the one who had sent her to her tragic fate? Every moment without her was a torment, a punishment he inflicted on himself, because he believed he deserved it. Nevio, orphaned by his mother, was entrusted to his grandmother. Alberto, unable to look him in the eye, walked away, choosing to lose himself in the void, to wander aimlessly, trying to escape from himself and everything he had lost. For 20 years, he lived like a shadow, a man with no place to call home. The cities he passed through, the streets he walked, were nothing but a labyrinth of memories and regrets. But the call of memories is powerful, and one day he found himself in front of the house he had built with Alida. It was still there, well kept, with a flowery and cared-for garden. Every flower, every stone seemed to speak to him of the past, of a time that seemed far away. Who could live there now? The question tormented him like a woodworm that gnawed at his soul. One day, while observing the house from afar, he saw a young man coming out with a woman and a baby in a stroller. Alberto's heart skipped a beat. Who were they? They seemed so serene, so similar to what he and Alida had been. As they walked away, he noticed an object on the ground, a wallet. He picked it up, his hands shaking. He opened the zipper and found a photo. That photo. It was him, with Alida and a baby Nevio, smiling, unaware of everything that was to come. His breath caught. He looked at the name on the document inside. Nevio, his son. He had grown up. He was a man now. He was a father, a husband. Alberto remained still, his world collapsing around him. He had to return the wallet. But how could he? He didn't want to be recognized. What if Nevio hated him? Would you have had the courage to show yourself to your son after so long? Alberto decided to wait. When Nevio returned home, Alberto took a deep breath and approached. "You lost it," he murmured, holding out his wallet. Nevio's eyes met his. A long silence, then a tear. "Dad, is that you?" And without waiting for an answer, Nevio hugged him like a child who finds his lost hero. That gesture, simple and profound, seemed to mend 20 years of absence in an instant. Tears flowed freely, two broken hearts trying to mend. Forgiveness is possible, but forgetting? Words were superfluous. The hug spoke for itself. And you? Could you ever forgive a father who abandoned you? Tell me in the comments what you think. Can family really heal from the wounds of the past?